The congressional hearing room was filled to capacity. Cameras were rolling, capturing every movement. Nancy Mace, the Republican congresswoman from South Carolina, leaned toward her microphone with a confident smirk, ready to make her move. For the past 2 minutes, she had mocked Jasmine Crockett, the outspoken Democrat from Texas, calling her all talk, no action, and suggesting she belonged more on TikTok than in Congress. The room was tense. A few Republicans chuckled quietly, while Democrats shifted uneasily in their chairs. But Jasmine Crockett remained composed, calm, steady, and observant. Her neatly styled hair gleamed under the harsh lights as she waited. She wasn't shaken and she wasn't angry. She was focused. What happened in the next minute would not only silence Nancy Mace, but also take over the internet. Jasmine's response was sharp, deliberate, and flawlessly delivered. So much so that even some Republicans would later admit, off the record, that Mace had walked straight into a trap. Before we show you how it unfolded inside that hearing room, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button. Because what you're about to witness is a masterclass in political strategy. The antagonist. Nancy Mace is a 47-year-old Republican congresswoman representing South Carolina's 1st District. A former military child, she made history in 1999 as the first woman to graduate from the Citadel's Corps of Cadets. That achievement earned her recognition as a trailblazer, and she has since built her reputation on being bold, outspoken, and unapologetically direct. She presents herself as a moderate Republican, someone willing to work across party lines. However, in recent years, especially as she's aligned more closely with the MAGA movement, her image has shifted. She's now known for her sharp remarks, combative style, and readiness to engage in political fights. Mace stays active on social media, quick with sound bites, and rarely retreats from confrontation. On this particular day, she entered the hearing confident and prepared. Her talking points were rehearsed, her social media team was standing by, and she was sure she was about to score easy political points. She viewed Jasmine Crockett as an easy target, a freshman Democrat she believed had more flair than depth. The protagonist, Jasmine Crockett, 43, is a civil rights attorney turned congresswoman representing Texas's 30th District. She's a graduate of Rhodes College and the University of Houston Law Center. Before joining Congress in 2023, she built a strong career in law, defending those without a voice and challenging powerful figures in court. Crockett isn't just intelligent, she's strategic. She knows how to read a room, maintain her composure, and build her case with precision. Her background as a trial lawyer taught her how to handle tough witnesses, aggressive opponents, and skeptical judges. Early on, she learned that winning isn't about being the loudest, it's about being the smartest person in the room. Crockett represents a new generation of Black women in Congress, alongside figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, and Ilhan Omar. These women refuse to be silenced. They use their platforms effectively, call out hypocrisy, and challenge the traditional norms of political discourse. The setting, a House Oversight Committee. Hearing. The hearing was officially about government accountability and spending oversight. But like many modern congressional sessions, it quickly turned into political theater. Members weren't there to debate policy. They were there to create viral moments, score partisan points, and appeal to their political bases. The room buzzed with energy. Staffers, reporters, and cameras filled every corner. C-SPAN was broadcasting live, and every major news outlet had representation. Social media teams from both sides were monitoring closely, ready to post key clips within seconds. The stakes. This confrontation wasn't simply a disagreement between two congresswomen. It was about respect, representation, and power. Nancy Mace's goal was to publicly belittle Jasmine Crockett, to frame her as inexperienced and unqualified. If she succeeded, it would reinforce the perception that young, progressive Democrats, especially women of color, weren't suited for leadership roles. For Jasmine Crockett, however, this moment carried deeper meaning. She wasn't just defending herself. She was standing up for every woman, every person of color, and everyone who had ever been dismissed or underestimated for their background, appearance, or youth. This was her opportunity to prove that intellect, Preparation and composure would always outmatch arrogance and showmanship. The tension in the room was unmistakable. The American public was watching closely, waiting to see who would come out on top. Round 1. Mace's opening shots. The atmosphere grew heavy even before Representative Jasmine Crockett spoke. Nancy Mace had been given time to question a witness on government spending, but instead, she used the opportunity to take aim at her Democratic colleagues, particularly Jasmine Crockett. "You know what I find interesting?" Mace began, her tone laced with condescension. "Some members of this committee spend more time on social media than actually reading the bills they vote on. They seem more focused on their image and online following than on doing the real work of Congress." She didn't mention Jasmine's name, but everyone knew who she meant. The camera cut to Crockett, sitting calmly with her hands folded and an unreadable expression. She didn't react, not yet. Mace went on, "For some people it's all performance, about the viral clip or the next Instagram post. But when it comes to showing up and doing the hard work, silence." A few Republicans chuckled. Mace was playing to her audience, and they seemed to enjoy it. She leaned back, clearly pleased with herself. Round 2. The direct attack Mace wasn't finished. During her second round of questioning, she went further, this time calling Jasmine out by name. "Representative Crockett," Mace said sharply, "you've been in Congress, what, about a year and a half? In that time, what exactly have you accomplished, other than getting your name in the headlines?" Jasmine looked up, still composed, and began to respond. But Mace interrupted. "No, seriously," Mace pressed, "because from where I sit, it looks like you're all talk and no results. You show up to these hearings in your designer clothes and perfectly styled hair, but when it comes to actual legislation and policy work, where are you?" The room went quiet. Democrats looked stunned at the blatant disrespect. Even a few Republicans shifted uneasily. Critiquing someone's record was one thing, but attacking their appearance and questioning their right to be there was another matter entirely. Jasmine remained motionless. Her jaw was tight, her eyes locked forward. She didn't interrupt. She let Mace finish, because she knew something Mace didn't. The longer Mace spoke, the deeper the hole she dug for herself. Round 3. The setup. The committee chair tried to restore order, reminding members to keep their remarks on topic. But it was too late. The confrontation had become the headline. Nancy Mace wore a satisfied smile. She believed she'd won. She'd embarrassed Crockett on camera, questioned her competence, and made her seem out of place. Her staff was likely already preparing the video clip for social media. Then came Jasmine Crockett's turn. The chairman recognized her, and she calmly adjusted her microphone. The room fell silent. You could even hear the hum of the air conditioning. "Thank you, Mr. Chairman," she began, her tone even and composed. "I want to address what Representative Mace just said, because it's important to set the record straight." Mace rolled her eyes, expecting a defensive reaction, maybe even tears or an emotional outburst, something that would prove her point. But what she got instead was a measured, factual dismantling. "Representative Mace just questioned my qualifications and commitment," Jasmine continued. "So let's review my record, since it seems some members haven't done their research." She opened a folder, not for effect, but because she had documentation. "In my first year in Congress, I co-sponsored 47 pieces of legislation. 12 focused on criminal justice reform, an area where I have over a decade of experience as a civil rights attorney. 6 addressed healthcare access in underserved areas, and 8 targeted economic inequality and workforce development." Then she looked directly at Mace. "How many bills have you co-sponsored this session, Representative Mace?" Mace opened her mouth to answer, but Jasmine continued. "Don't worry, I've checked. According to the congressional record, you've co-sponsored 31, so I'm not sure where your criticism of my productivity comes from." A murmur spread through the room. Democrats straightened in their seats. Reporters in the back began typing furiously. "But since you mentioned substance," Jasmine said, "you also brought up my appearance and social media presence. First of all, what I choose to wear to work is none of your concern. I'm a professional woman. Dress professionally? If my clothes or hair distract you, That's your problem, not mine. Jasmine began firmly. A few people in the audience tried to hide their laughter. Nancy Mace's expression started to tighten. When asked about her social media presence, Jasmine continued, "Yes, I use it. Unlike some members of Congress who act like it's still 1995, I understand that staying connected means reaching people where they are, and that's online. My district is 62% black and brown. Many of my constituents are young and won't watch C-SPAN, but they'll see clips from these hearings on Twitter or Instagram. So yes, I make sure my message reaches them. That's not performance. That's representation." The room fell silent. Every eye was on Jasmine Crockett. Then her tone shifted, becoming more personal. "What really bothers me about what Representative Mace said," Jasmine continued, "is that she questioned whether I belong here. She implied I'm less serious, less qualified, less deserving, because of how I look or how I speak." She leaned forward. "Representative Mace, you made history as the first woman to graduate from the Citadel. You've often talked about how people doubted you, said a woman couldn't handle a military environment. You proved them wrong, and that's commendable. So I'm honestly confused why you'd turn around and do to another woman what was once done to you." That statement hit hard. The smirk vanished from Mace's face. She looked uncomfortable, caught off guard by the comparison. "I am a black woman in Congress," Jasmine said. "A civil rights attorney. I graduated law school with honors. I've spent my career fighting for those without a voice, and I'm excellent at my job. So when you dismiss me as all talk, when you mock my appearance, when you imply I'm here just for viral clips, what you're really saying is you don't think I belong. And that's not just an insult to me. It's an insult to everyone who voted for me, and to every young black woman who dreams of serving here one day." Applause broke out across the room. Even journalists nodded in agreement. Nancy Mace sat frozen, face red. But Jasmine wasn't finished. Not yet. She paused for a moment, letting her words settle, before delivering the knockout line. "Since you want to talk about substance versus performance," she said, opening a folder, "let's talk about your record." Nancy Mace stiffened. "In January, you posted that you were fighting to lower prescription drug costs for seniors. Sounds great, except when the Inflation Reduction Act came up, the very bill that would have done that, you voted against it." Jasmine looked her straight in the eye. "So tell me, Representative Mace, were you lying to your constituents then, or are you lying to them now?" The room gasped. Even the chairman looked stunned. "In March," Jasmine continued, "you tweeted about supporting veterans and ensuring they get proper health care. A nice sentiment. Yet you voted against the PACT Act expansion, the bill providing health care for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. So again, which Nancy Mace should we believe? The one on Twitter or the one in the voting booth?" Mace tried to interrupt. "That's not... Those bills had other..." Jasmine raised a hand. "I'm not done, Representative. You questioned my substance. Now I'm questioning yours." She flipped another page. "In April, you gave a speech about protecting women's rights and ending discrimination. Yet you voted against the Equal Rights Amendment, against pay equity legislation, and against protections for women seeking reproductive care. So forgive me if I'm unsure which women you're actually trying to protect." Each point landed like a hammer. Mace's staffers frantically checked their phones, likely preparing damage control. "You call me all talk," Jasmine said. "But your social media and your voting record don't match. You post moderate-sounding tweets, then vote with the far right 90% of the time. If anyone here is performing, Representative Mace, it's you." Democrats struggled to contain their reactions. This wasn't just a comeback. It was a factual, well-structured takedown. Then Jasmine's tone softened slightly, though her confidence remained. "Look, I didn't come here to start a personal fight," she said. "I came here to do my job. But when you question my presence, my qualifications, or my right to serve, I'll respond. Not with insults, but with facts." She gestured around the chamber. "Everyone here took an oath to serve the American people. Not our egos, not for viral moments, though you seem quite focused on that. We're here to legislate and to represent." Finally, she turned directly to Mace. "I don't need to tear you down to lift myself up. My record speaks for itself. But if you ever question my competence or commitment again, I will remind you, and everyone else, exactly why I belong here. I have receipts. I'm an attorney. Bringing receipts is what I do. That line was the final blow. Jasmine Crockett leaned back in her chair, completely composed. Mr. Chairman, can we please return to the actual subject of this hearing? Some of us came here to work, not to pick fights. The room erupted. Democrats stood applauding. Even staffers in the back joined in. The chairman had to call for order multiple times. Nancy Mace sat silently, her jaw tight and face flushed. She had entered the hearing confident she could embarrass Jasmine Crockett. Instead, she'd been fact-checked in real time, exposed as a hypocrite, and dismantled in under 5 minutes. The cameras caught every second. The clip began spreading immediately. Within minutes, Jasmine C. Crockett was trending on Twitter. Within an hour, the video had millions of views. Nancy Mace had attempted to ridicule Crockett, but Jasmine's sharp, factual reply ended the exchange and may have damaged Mace's credibility for a long time. Before the hearing even concluded, social media was ablaze. Whether it came from Crockett's communications team or a quick-thinking viewer, the moment was clipped and posted within minutes, and spread like wildfire. On Twitter, Jasmine C. Crockett climbed to the #1 trending topic in the U.S. within 30 minutes. The hashtag #CrockettDestroysMace wasn't far behind. By the end of the day, the clip had been viewed more than 15 million times across platforms. Replies and quote tweets were relentless, and brutal for Nancy Mace. Progressive voice. Nancy Mace thought she'd have an easy day. Instead, Jasmine Crockett completely dismantled her. This is what happens when you underestimate Black women. Political Junkie 2024. Jasmine Crockett took down Nancy Mace with facts and receipts. Never come for a lawyer unless you're ready. Voting matters. Crockett said, I'm an attorney. Bringing receipts is what I do. Then exposed Mace's entire voting record. Iconic. Real talk. Mace attacked Crockett's appearance and qualifications. Crockett responded by fact-checking her entire career. That's the difference between substance and performance. Even some conservatives took note. Conservative voices. I'm a Republican, but Jasmine Crockett came prepared. Nancy Mace walked right into that. You can't question someone's record if your own doesn't hold up. As with any viral political moment, the internet meme machine took over. A photo of Jasmine Crockett holding folders read, "When you're a lawyer and someone comes for you unprepared." Another showed Nancy Mace smirking at the start and looking defeated at the end. How it started versus how it's going. A still of Jasmine saying, I have receipts, was captioned. Never bring feelings to a facts fight. And one final meme, underestimate me, please. I dare you. These flooded Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter, especially among young viewers, who praised Crockett as an example of handling bullies with confidence and intelligence. By evening, every major network had picked up the story, CNN. Texas Democrat Jasmine Crockett goes viral after confrontation with South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace. Analysts called it a masterclass in debate preparation, MSNBC. Freshman Congresswoman shows how to respond to personal attacks with facts and dignity. Joy Reid described it as the most effective clapback in congressional history. Even Fox News covered it, framing it as a heated exchange highlighting partisan tensions in Congress. The Washington Post ran an analysis titled, How Jasmine Crockett Won a Debate by Being Better Prepared. The piece praised Crockett's strategy and criticized Mace for making it personal. The New York Times summarized it best. In an era of political theater, substance still matters. Crockett's fact-based approach stood in sharp contrast to Mace's personal attacks. That evening, Mace attempted to recover on social media. I'll always call out hypocrisy. Democrats talk about helping people but vote for policies that hurt working families. That's what today was about. The replies were unforgiving. That's not what happened, and you know it. You mocked her appearance, and she destroyed you with facts. Don't rewrite history. We all watched it live. One viral reply summed it up. The receipts are already out there. Nancy, just take the L. 2 days later, Mace appeared on a conservative podcast claiming, "The media's blowing this out of proportion. Typical partisan politics." But even the host pushed back, "Nancy, you did question her qualifications and appearance. Did you expect her to just sit there?" Mace stumbled through a defense about tough love and accountability. But it was clear. The confident congresswoman from the hearing was now on defense. Crockett didn't gloat. She didn't need to. She simply tweeted, "I came to Congress to fight for my constituents and do the work. I won't be bullied, dismissed, or underestimated, and I'll always have receipts. Back to work." The post received over 500,000 likes and was shared widely by figures across the political spectrum. A week later, she appeared on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne Tha God. When asked about the exchange, she smiled and said, "I'm a trial lawyer. I've spent my career in courtrooms facing tough judges and aggressive opposing counsel. Did Nancy Mace really think a few mean comments would rattle me? I've dealt with worse." And that's how Jasmine Crockett turned a tense congressional moment into a powerful statement on preparation, composure, and the value of facts over theatrics. "Before my morning coffee," the host laughed, and that clip quickly went viral. But Jasmine continued seriously. This wasn't about winning an argument. It was about making it clear that Black women and young representatives in Congress deserve the same respect as anyone else. "We didn't end up here by accident. We earned our seats, and we're not going anywhere." The exchange between Nancy Mace and Jasmine Crockett soon became a topic of discussion in political communication courses. Professors used it to highlight the difference between personal attacks and issue-based arguments. As one Georgetown political science professor explained to students, this was a textbook example of how personal attacks can backfire when your opponent is better prepared. Representative Mace tried to turn the debate into a matter of personality and appearance, while Representative Crockett shifted it back to policy and voting records. One strategy relies on bias and emotion. The other depends on facts and evidence. Political consultants from both parties took notice. Democratic strategists began encouraging candidates to follow the Crockett model. Remain calm, rely on facts, and respond to personal attacks with substance, not anger. On the other hand, Republican strategists quietly advised their candidates to avoid the Mace mistake. Never question someone's appearance, qualifications, or legitimacy unless your own record can stand up to close examination. The incident carried serious consequences for Nancy Mace. While her congressional seat was safe in a strongly Republican district, her national image suffered. Mace had been positioning herself as a future party leader who could appeal to moderates while maintaining MAGA support. But the viral clip made her appear unprepared, petty, and inconsistent. Some of her GOP colleagues privately voiced their disappointment. "She made us all look bad," one Republican member told Politico. "You can't claim to be the party of ideas and then resort to personal insults. Crockett made us seem like we don't do our homework." Moderate Republicans who had considered partnering with Mace on bipartisan bills became wary. If she attacked a Democratic colleague so harshly in public, they wondered, how might she treat them in private disagreements? Although her social media following increased, it did so for the wrong reasons. Many followed to see if she'd stumble again. Mace had become more of a punchline than a leader. For Jasmine Crockett, the confrontation proved to be a turning point. Practically overnight, she went from a relatively unknown freshman lawmaker to a recognized national figure. Her fundraising soared. Within 2 weeks, her campaign received over $2 million, surpassing the total she'd raised in the prior 6 months. Donations poured in from across the country, many accompanied by messages like, "Thank you for speaking up. You inspire my daughter." She was soon invited to speak at universities, women's conferences, and political events nationwide. Major media outlets sought interviews, and late-night shows requested her as a guest. More importantly, her colleagues in Congress took notice. Seasoned lawmakers who had witnessed countless heated exchanges acknowledged that Crockett handled herself with rare composure. She defended herself without sounding defensive, remained strong without being unkind, and let the facts speak for themselves. "That's leadership," one Democratic senator remarked. "She knows who she is and doesn't need to tear others down to prove it." As a result, committee chairs began consulting her on policy matters. and party leaders started seeing her as someone capable of managing high-pressure situations. She had proven her competence not only to voters but also to her peers. The confrontation between Nancy Mace and Jasmine Crockett represents more than just one viral moment. It reflects key truths about modern U.S. politics. First, preparation outweighs performance. Mace tried to engineer a viral clip through mockery. Crockett came ready with evidence. In today's social media-driven environment, you can't rely solely on sound bites. You must back up your claims with facts. Attacking someone's looks, age, or right to be present is lazy politics. It might win quick approval from your supporters, but it makes you appear small, and when your opponent counters with substance, it only makes you look worse. Even in an era of alternative facts and political spin, there's real power in simply telling the truth. Jasmine Crockett didn't need to insult Nancy Mace. She just cited Mace's own voting record. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just standing up for herself. She represented every young person, every woman of color, and everyone who's ever been told they don't belong. Her words resonated because millions have experienced the same kind of dismissal she faced. Both women should have realized that everything they said would be recorded, shared, analyzed, and remembered. Nancy Mace acted like she was having a private exchange, while Jasmine Crockett knew she was speaking to millions. Months later, the confrontation still gets mentioned often. When other lawmakers argue, commentators now ask, will this become another Mace Crockett moment? Jasmine Crockett continues serving her district with a higher public profile. She's effectively used her platform to promote her policy goals and has become a mentor for young women of color interested in politics. Nancy Mace, on the other hand, has tried to move on, focusing on new issues and debates. But the viral clip continues to follow her. Every time she posts online, someone inevitably replies with that same video of Jasmine Crockett dismantling her arguments. The two haven't had another direct exchange. They sit on different committees and largely avoid one another. There's no reconciliation or friendly follow-up. Sometimes in politics, there are clear winners and losers, and everyone knows which is which. What did you think of this political face-off? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Did Nancy Mace cross the line, or was Jasmine Crockett's response completely justified? If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most iconic political confrontations in recent memory, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future coverage. Like this video if you think, Jasmine Crockett handled herself flawlessly. Share it with someone who needs to see how to respond to bullies with composure and facts. Comment below who you think Jasmine Crockett's next challenger might be. Want to see more moments like this? Explore our playlist featuring the most intense congressional exchanges, including AOC versus Ted Cruz in the viral climate debate, Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Jamie Raskin. Who really won that one? And Katie Porter's legendary whiteboard takedowns. Whether you're in a congressional hearing, a team meeting, or dealing with someone trying to undermine you, remember Jasmine Crockett's lesson. Stay calm. Don't let emotions dictate your response. Come prepared. Know your facts before entering any debate. Focus on substance, not insults. Let truth speak for itself. Stand your ground. You don't have to accept disrespect. Know your worth, and never let anyone make you feel like you don't belong. There will always be Nancy Maces, people who try to pull others down to lift themselves up. But Jasmine Crockett proved that the strongest response isn't anger. It's preparation, intelligence, and confidence that comes from knowing your work. So next time someone mocks, dismisses, or questions your qualifications, channel your inner Jasmine Crockett. Have your facts ready, stay composed, and remind them exactly why you deserve your place. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next political analysis. Which showdown should we cover next? Tell us in the comments below.